All right, you've seen the headlines, right? You've heard the big announcements. Some tech giant lays off thousands of people, and the reason they give, it always sounds so high-tech, so futuristic, like it's just inevitable. But today, we're going to pull back that curtain and take a look at what's really going on.
And it always starts with language that sounds just like this: pivoting to AI efficiencies. I mean, it sounds so polished, doesn't it? Clean, forward-thinking. It's supposed to be the sound of progress. Or, at least that's what they want us to believe.
The framing is always the same. It's pitched as this bold, strategic move, innovating for the future. And look, it's a really compelling story. It's no wonder it's become so incredibly common. But here's the thing. What if that story is, well, just a story? What if the data, I'm talking about the actual hard numbers behind these decisions, tells a completely different tale? Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into today.
Okay, so first up, let's break down that official narrative. The story that has pretty much dominated the headlines for the last couple of years.
I mean, we see it everywhere, right? The basic idea is simple. These new, super powerful AI tools are getting so good, so efficient, that they're just making human jobs redundant. And on the surface, that seems pretty logical, almost unavoidable even.
But how well does that story actually hold up when you look at the real data? Yeah, this is where it starts to get really interesting.
And this is the big question, isn't it? If AI is truly replacing all these tech workers, then the company's hiring patterns should reflect that. It only makes sense, right?
Okay, so take a look at this. This is the data that it doesn't add up. You've got Salesforce laying off 4,000 workers, but at the same time, they're applying for almost 3,700 H-1B visas. And in case you don't know, those are special visas to hire foreign tech workers. Then you've got Amazon laying off thousands while applying to bring in over 10,000. It makes you ask a really simple question. If AI is getting rid of all these jobs, why are you importing thousands of people to do them?
Yeah, the data really points to a completely different conclusion here. This idea of AI just replacing workers one for one, it really doesn't seem to be what's driving all this. So, what is?
What the source material suggests is that AI is actually being used as a smokescreen, right? It's this convenient, super modern-sounding excuse to hide a much older, much more traditional business playbook. So if AI isn't the real story, what are the actual economic drivers behind these layoffs? Well, it turns out it's an old playbook. Let's break it down.
It's basically a three-step process, and it's been used for decades in other industries. It's all about cutting costs. You replace more expensive domestic workers with cheaper labor. And you can do that through visa programs or just by moving the jobs offshore completely. And believe me, there's a huge incentive to do it.
And this right here, this illustrates that incentive perfectly. The US tax code actually creates this incredibly powerful motivation. A company pays almost double the tax on profits it makes here at home compared to profits it makes overseas. So if you're just looking at the numbers, the system itself basically rewards you for sending jobs elsewhere.
But it's not just about tax incentives. There is another huge player pushing these decisions, and that's the stock market itself.
Just take this recent example from the dating app Bumble. They announced a massive layoff, cutting almost a third of their entire workforce.
And check out the immediate reaction, a 25% jump in their stock price on the same day. You see, Wall Street didn't see a loss of talent or innovation. It just saw a cut in expenses, and the reward for that was immediate.
So, here's the key takeaway. Executives, whose pay is often directly tied to how well the stock is doing, have a built-in incentive to make these kinds of cuts. It becomes less about true technological innovation and a lot more about financial engineering that makes investors happy.
Now look, let's be super clear here. This doesn't mean AI is having zero impact on jobs. It absolutely is. But the real impact is way more specific, way more targeted than what the big headlines are telling you.
What we're seeing is AI getting incredibly good at automating repetitive, language-based tasks. So think about things like routine customer service chats or basic content moderation. Yeah, those jobs are genuinely at risk. But on the other hand, fields that require someone to physically be there or that need deep human empathy, like the skilled trades, healthcare, education, those are proving to be much more resilient.
So when you put it all together, this whole AI layoff story starts to look like a distraction, right? It's a distraction from a much bigger, more systemic problem that's unfolding across the entire labor market.
In this chart, this reveals the quiet crisis that the headlines are totally missing. While everyone is talking about AI, the unemployment rate for computer engineers, the very people who build this technology, has more than tripled in just a single year.
So this isn't just an AI story. It's a story about offshoring, it's about cost-cutting, and it's about a massive, massive shift happening in the labor market.
So when you really get down to it, the problem we're facing isn't that we have a technology that's just become too powerful.
No, the real issue is that we have a system of incentives where the illusion of efficiency, the kind you get from layoffs and offshoring, gets rewarded way more and way faster than the slow, difficult work of actual long-term innovation.
Which kind of leaves us with one last big question to think about. Are we really living through a crisis caused by artificial intelligence? Or are we actually witnessing a crisis of corporate honesty, where this powerful new technology has just become the perfect modern-day excuse for some very old-fashioned cost-cutting?